Good afternoon and welcome to Bull Market Stock Show. This is your host Rian Opson, and we're doing today the inflation that I think personally is not transitory. And I will also actually have my articles and my research with you today to go through a few articles that I picked up and also some other stuff that I read on. And I think the Federal Reserve will talk. Personally, I think the Federal Reserve will start to move this week. I think I think they might actually talk about it, that they will point out the plan of how they will start to taper. But I think definitely this week they will start to talk when they're gonna taper, because I don't think the Federal Reserve has much time, because this inflation that I will now show you will definitely or the I would say the research that I will show you based on this inflation story will definitely change your mind. And I think that is exactly what the Federal Reserve is also thinking about. But I think personally that the inflation story will definitely overshoot. And I'm surprised how the media is actually not basically talking about it. That is for me the big surprise thing. They are not paying attention to this, and I will definitely show you my research. We will do a few articles, and I will definitely state my case in this. But I will just take a short break, and then I will be back with the whole analysis.
Keep your finger on the market pulse with the News Alerts tool. Stay up to date on the latest sentiment across all the major asset classes. Uncover bullish or bearish signals tied to specific assets that could be developing before major price moves, and track how news sentiment correlated with price in the past. Track the news volume on an asset, its fear index, and get a better feel for its underlying strength. All with News Alerts, your central hub for market information. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Bull Market Stock Show, and Markets.com is our official sponsor of the show. So please, there's a link below. Please click on our link and do take the path with me on the $250 account, and I will actually give you my free classes as well. But with this, actually, it will help you, because believe me, what we will see coming, it's a heavy inflation story. Now, I will just share my screen with you just to get you in my analysis. This is the first one here. Now, on Friday, for those of you who actually had actually trading with markets.com, there was an article that actually came out, not on Friday, but this is an older article. It was on the 12th of July. But on Friday, the Federal Reserve, or not the Federal Reserve, the US government were talking about the wheat prices, that there will be a shortfall in the wheat production. And for me personally, wheat is very important for bread, pasta, and those type of things. It's a very important component for the food, and there is a massive shortfall. Now, if I just go to my platform, you would see actually the wheat prices is under markets.com, soft commodities. You will see wheat. I don't know what other platforms have this, but the wheat prices were actually shooting. I will just put in my 4-hour candle. This was now last Friday. You would see it shoot to all-time highs. And I think this is just the start of it. Now, to go to my article here, the North U.S. plain drought several spring wheat crops to smallest in 33 years. That is the USDA, I think is the U.S. Agriculture Department that were actually releasing this. And they made an official announcement on Friday to say there will be a shortfall of the wheat production. And this is the smallest actually in 33 years. So they say the farmers in the north in the US plains are on track to harvest the smallest spring wheat crop in 33 years, reflecting the impact of severe drought in the key farming region, the US Department of Agriculture, I was right, said on Monday. The shortfall in spring wheat, which typically present a quarter of the total U.S. wheat production, means tighter supply for variety used in bread and in pasta dough, priced by Miller for its quality and protein content. And I will just go to another part of the article where they actually do talk about the harsh drought in the Canadian is threatening to spare supplies of a high protein grain even further. Both nations export the majority of their spring wheat. So even Canada is also actually experiencing difficulty when it comes to wheat production. So for that, the food production or food prices will definitely start to increase in the United States, and that will lift up the wheat prices globally. Now, the other part, which is also important, this is in the north part. Now, if you look at the south, which is now your California, California actually has, I think they produce about one third of the basically your fruits, your nuts, and those type of things. And I just go into the article. Historically, drought across more than 99% of the Western USA is threatening farmers and the rural communities that rely on those farms. In California, where 50 billion agriculture industry grows more than a third of the country's vegetables, and two-thirds of the fruits and nuts, farmers have been swelled dry up and access to the state surface water allocation slashed to zero. Food prices is definitely on the rise in the United States, and we will start to see that in the inflation, the CPI data of the United States. And I think that's why Jerome Powell is talking twice this week. And I hope you guys did pick up in the economic calendar. And I can guarantee you that food prices will definitely spiral out of control. I will just take a short break, and then I will add more to my analysis on why inflation will hit, I would say, will actually go out of control.
Keep your finger on the market pulse with the News Alerts tool. Stay up to date on the latest sentiment across all the major asset classes. Uncover bullish or bearish signals tied to specific assets that could be developing before major price moves, and track how news sentiment correlated with price in the past. Track the news volume on an asset, its fear index, and get a better feel for its underlying strength. All with News Alerts, your central hub for market information. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
Welcome back to Bull Market Stock Show. Please don't forget to register your account on the link below, where you can just click on it and register account on markets.com and be with me when we trade with this inflation data. And I think that inflation will definitely be out of control. And this is not just in the United States. This will be actually all over the world. And the poorest countries will suffer the most. And I will come to the part of South Africa. But just let us continue. Also on the other part on the United States is this one. Rents are going through the roof across much of the United States. Now, very importantly, rents or rental prices contain one third of the CPI data in the United States. One third. So it's a huge chunk. Normally, we all know, those of us who rent takes a huge chunk of our income. And in the United States, on average, it's one third of the US CPI basket. And this article was on the 9th of July. You can actually follow on. You can go to YouTube or read other articles that people are literally betting on rent to get the rental price. Now, there's a very good reason for this. The reason is that the house prices are actually totally out of control. It actually went up quite drastically, and it priced out the millennials, or people between the ages of 20 and 30, or even slightly, I would say, to 36. They priced them out of the market, so now they need to rent. And that is where rental prices are actually becoming expensive, because these guys or families can't afford to buy a house because of the house prices that are totally out of control. Now, there's two components. One, it is the wheat prices, I would say the food prices that will be out of control. And then two is this one, which is the rental prices. And then the last one that I also picked up, let's say the United States, or we all know now that the United States will have a shortage in wheat, and so they need to import it. The other problem is this. They say now, how harsh are China COVID restrictions. A single infection closed the world's third busiest port. Now, this is an article that I wanted to, actually a topic that I wanted to do the last Friday, but due to my laptop that needed to actually to reboot. But anyway, to update actually. But the ports are actually busy. And on top of that, due to this latest variant that is running around, that put actually pressure on ports. So the shipping is also a problem. So even though the United States want to actually import wheat to actually to hold up production, how long will it take until it get there? Because the ports are basically busy and shippers or ship containers can't keep up now with the demand. So if the Federal Reserve or the media or big corporate medias want to tell us that inflation is transitory, because that is the language that they are talking about due to the last inflation number that actually came out, where they say actually that it is transitory because basically because the inflation was 5.4 and it capped on 5.4 for this month as well. But the numbers didn't come through as in yet when it comes to rental and also when it comes to these droughts, because there's also a water problem in the north and in the south of the United States. Now, with that said, I don't think the Federal Reserve can last long or can delay this tapering conversation, because otherwise inflation will go out of control. When it comes to South Africa, the only thing that literally helps us now to actually to weather the storm is actually the rand. But if there's problems coming from the United States or ports that are closing, the rand will actually get a heavy beating. And if the rand is getting a heavy beating, it means that we will also pay a lot for wheat prices and petrol and those type of things. And then inflation in South Africa can also get out of control. But I do think that inflation in South Africa is already stubbornly high, and our Reserve Bank needs to act as well quickly to get things under control. But on the other side, you also have a government that is spending money onto the economy, and that will definitely not help when it comes to inflation. So this whole thing about transitory, it's absolutely rubbish. Absolutely rubbish, because you can stimulate the economy, but there's other effects that also push prices up. And that is obviously your weather, like unpredictable circumstances, which is now the weather, ports that are closing due to the new variant. All of those things can also play effect when it comes to inflation. So my main bet, basically, what I see, if the Federal Reserve or Jerome Powell is doing basically nothing this week and still talking about that they consider tapering, I think the dollar will go totally out of control, and that is where we will start to see actually quite a heavy behavior when it comes to the gold price. Now, the main thing is that gold was starting to move on Friday. On Friday, gold was actually starting to move in the right direction due to that consumer confidence story. But today it actually is a bit on the back foot. That's why you see I don't have any trades open here. Today it's actually on the back foot due to that Chinese news that came through about the industrial production that was slow. And if it was not for that, I think gold would have continued to go up and the dollar would have been down. But due to that industrial production problem in China, or that news that came through, I think that actually pushed prices a bit down on metals and also on energy. It also put the oil prices down. So I hope the Federal Reserve will do something this week. If they don't, I can guarantee you the US dollar will definitely go down, and you will see energy stocks and also other commodities, especially your soft commodities, will definitely start to increase and go out of control. If you're on markets.com, you would have had this advantage of trading on wheat, because wheat was literally moving by 2% on Friday. But please don't forget to subscribe for my YouTube channel, and please don't forget to click on the link below, because you will need all the help necessary to trade with this inflation data. That is it from my side for today. I hope you guys had a lovely time with me, and then I will see you guys tomorrow again at 1 o'clock. Cheers for now.